जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स. दिस इज आदि अचिंत. आज हमारे साथ हैं, पहचानिए कौन, अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा. थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर कमिंग अक्रॉस. आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी एन इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्वर्सेशन एंड इंटरेस्टिंग टाइम्स.
Thank you. And please all join us and our brave leader, Sri Rahul Gandhi ji, in our fight against an evil Hindutva and Hindu forces. Thank you.
I know, I must say. Shakti, nahi. You're saying the wrong word. It's Shakti. It's
Shakti.
the word is now Shakti, and Shakti is a dirty word nowadays. तो वो आप थोड़ा सा उसमें आपको मैं I'd like to correct you.
See,
अच्छा,
I think it was a pronunciation problem. Rahul Gandhi is such a kind, secular person. He could have never said that. What he said was कि we are fighting against Sakti. सरकार बहुत सख्त है. It is a very
सख्त है,
hard government.
टाइट
So
है.
he's actually, that is what he said. He's fighting against Sakti.
करेक्ट. बट मेरे को ये बताओ, आई मीन माय क्वेश्चन इज वेरी वेरी सिंपल. ये जो suddenly we are seeing the West charge up saying, भैया, you are our best friend, right? Just done a free trade deal with the Eastern Europe countries. There was a surprise. I didn't think that will happen. UK
Was
is
it
running
Eastern
after.
Europe or was it those four countries
ETFA,
outside?
four countries, Switzerland, and but three of them are inside the inside the European Union. Soviet Union, European Union, same thing.
No, they're all out. Iceland,
They have trade
Switzerland.
ties, so you can access the market through
Yeah.
them.
You can kind of access the market. Yeah. Hmm.
ठीक है, तो वो सब हो गया.
Hmm.
अभी suddenly CA, what is this? I mean, and I saw you talking to Charlotte Littlewood. You guys treated her very nicely, I must say. You know.
Look,
So what do you have to say?
she comes from a Western point of view, which is, it's. I realize it's kind of pointless even arguing with the West right now because their definitions itself are uh, so far gone. They consider all identity of the majority as execrable and all identity of the minority as something to be protected, unless of course it's a Hindu minority. It's a election convenient minority interpretation. If you vote for us, you're a minority. If you don't vote for us, you're not a minority. So what do? This kind of thing, this isn't just limited to people like Jerry Shee and that Hannah Ellis Peterson woman.
Hmm, hmm,
Uh,
hmm.
it's across the board. And the problem, of course, is media in general is so saturated, all the humanities, and media is fundamentally a sort of humanities heavy subject. Most journals are trained in the humanities. It's now becoming naturally so far left that even the center becomes is seen as fascist and right wing. There's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. It's their reality. Let them live it.
I mean, it's really insane the way that they kind of describe it. And nowadays, see, the problem is, I'll tell you one thing. My question to you is, why does the West hate Bharat? That's fine. But my perception is one thing very simple. We have started hating the West now,
Hmm.
right? And we've got our reasons of history and stuff like that, which is fine, which I accept and which are terrible. They need to kind of be given a kick. But today we need to work with them to get what we want,
Yes.
right? We have to be selfish in that aspect. And somewhere down the line, you will find that that thing will start getting tarnished because of this stupidity from them.
So, this is the problem. We've like missed, uh, we keep missing opportunities to miss opportunities.
Hmm.
Some people who will say, ki, bhai, why didn't India have a indigenous defense industry? We'll be like, ये अभिजीत साला लॉकहीड का दल्ला है, फिर मैं इसराइल का दल्ला हूँ, फिर मैं बोइंग का दल्ला बन जाता हूँ. And they don't want to look at other countries like South Korea and Turkey, which are actual treaty allies of America, which have a roaring domestic industry today,
Hmm.
right? Israel, why does Israel have a roaring domestic industry? Then they'll say, oh, it's the Jews, the international Jew and the international Jewish control of finance and everything. Why,
Yeah.
where is the international Turkish control of finance or anything for that matter? Where is the international Korean control of diddly squat? To wo kaise bane? They took smart decisions, right? So this is entirely up to us. if we want industry, you have to have your hire and fire labor laws. You have to stop this over regulation. You have to have principles based regulation, not rules based regulation, and you don't have the brain power to have principles based regulation without it getting overruled, well, corrupted, basically, because principles based regulation is a very high IQ kind of regulation. uh, uh, and that itself needs to be regulated. In that sense, it's check on check.
Check on check.
So you need land laws. Yeah, this classifying industrial land and farmland and all that land. You need to configure your CSR laws so that when companies invest in education of their staff, re-educating their staff to undo all the damage that the Indian education system has caused them, you recognize that as CSR, right? But wo bhi nahi karoge. And CSR is that dumb law that Sachin Pilot brought in. Why? Because and everybody thinks this is a great law. Why? Because वो Wharton से पढ़ के आया था. As it is, हमारे कंपनी पैसा नहीं बना रहे, उसके ऊपर you want an additional CSR burden, which is basically a soft slush fund for the local MP or whatever, saying कि भाई तुम इसको पैसा दे दो, उसको पैसा दे दो.
खाना
It can be
खिला दो ये
basically it was a license. It was institutionalized extortion of the private sector.
correct.
Oh, good law. Sachin Pilot, Wharton. Very good. Okay. Now what do you want?
But I think you brought out a very interesting point, Wharton. This fascination of the West, have you seen that reduced within India, or do you see that it has just been coveted by a certain amount of this thing? Because the lines at the Canadian embassy are still the same, knowing what Canada's reality is. So what do you say to that? Sometimes I really get upset about it.
It's probably become bigger because the staff reduction is affecting this thing. So the lines have become longer. They've not become bigger. They've just become longer. This was something we were taught, movement along the demand curve versus shift of the demand curve. Don't confuse the two. The lines may not have become bigger, but they've become longer. So,
and knowing Canada, I mean the Khalistani Canada,
for a case of validation, right? The same Indians who'll go berserk at any Western agency downrating us like VDEM or whatever, we'll also hold up Bloomberg pieces or whatever rating agency pieces saying you're great.
I don't care.
I don't care. Exactly. Okay. And you know how these rating agencies came about, right? They came about after 1917, where all the gold bonds of the Russian government were rated A+. And you all know what happened to Russia in 1917. Okay. And so they decided to come up with this rating agency. And how does a rating agency work? People think it's like very complicated, sophisticated. They're tracking whatever. They don't. It's actually my favorite word, a bukake cycle. It's like those good governance ratings and these VDEM ratings. They pick people who are asked, what do you think it is? And everybody answers and they aggregate those answers. But it's very important what it provides. You see, it provides a legal basis for risk taking. So say Aadi Achint wants to invest in Pakistani corruption-free stocks that guarantee Pakistan will be corruption-free. Okay. And you come to a Def Talk rating agency, which then asks Abhijit, Anand, Tehseen, Shehzad, all these people, Abhijit, what do you think about Pakistan corruption-free bonds? Very good idea. Anand will say very bad idea. Tehseen will say very good idea. Shehzad will say very bad idea. And then we'll get a tiebreaker, say Smita Prakash. She'll say very good idea. And so 3 out of 2 people say that it is a very good idea. So when Obviously, we know Pakistan's not going to be corruption free anytime soon. And you've been dumb enough to buy, very shame on you, Adi. You've been dumb enough to buy these Pakistan corruption free bonds. And Pakistan collapses. Now, your board can't hold you accountable because you will just
Because
present a report saying, I paid $50 million to get a risk rating done on this. And this is the report they gave us. So you have shifted the blame. The blame of risk taking. These rating agencies reduce risk, reduce the accountability of risk taking from corporate executives and pass it on to other people. And essentially, you tell them what they want to hear.
that's very interesting, because these guys who are that you mentioned, for example, the 5 6 people that you mentioned, they are also brought in and kept by the West in these particular places, who are educated by the West, curated by
Yeah.
the West,
So
and
you
they're
look at
all.
VDEM.
Hmm,
You look at VDEM, for example. They won't tell you who they interview. They'll only interview people within the Bukake cycle who will tell them
exactly.
what they want.
Hmm.
Okay. Rating agencies do the same thing. They'll claim our methods are all IPR methods. It's patented methods that we can't talk about publicly. That is why you come to us for our unique insights. And it's all bullshit.
Hung- See, you and I are looking so hungry.
Yeah. Oh, there's this really fun comment, Adi, if you don't mind me reading it out, from
Yeah.
XYZ. Abhijit Iyer is a liar. Rahul Rajiv Firoz Khan said this internally, and he used to poke Sanatan Dharma. It's in his dirty blood. After all, he is dash dash dash. No
Yeah.
XYZ. Rahul Gandhi is a great leader. He did not say we will oppose Shakti. He said we will oppose Shakti. Sarkar बहुत सख्त है.
मोदी साहब बहुत
हमको
टाइट हो
उसको
गए हैं
मान.
आजकल.
So
मोदी साहब बहुत
XYZ,
टाइट हो गया.
show me proof that he have ever said that. Rahul Gandhi would never say something like that. तुम झूठे हो. You are communal bigot XYZ. Go to hell.
Now, going forward, you've got this thing that came out with regards to the electoral bonds, and I want to keep the politics away. It's all bump. I, I care less, because it doesn't really affect anything. It's
Mm,
good to create TRP and good for a conversation over a drink. Beyond that, nothing. Um, Dusra, the guys who filed this case, ADR, you
mm,
know, and this lady, Poonam Agarwala.
mm.
Now, today evening, I saw an interview. She says, नहीं नहीं, मैंने तो बॉन्ड ना 2018 में लिया था. वो मैं सिर्फ चेक कर रही थी ये मेरा है कि नहीं है. अगर मेरा है तो गलत डेट लिखा है. So she flipped back right there. Khatam kahani. And ADR
You
is
know,
funded by same idiots. Soros, Omdiyar. Are
so
are everybody gone blind?
this is the same lady that led to the suicide of a Jawan, no?
Yeah,
Mm. So, question is, how do they stay on in the public view?
yeah.
People like Ravish Kumar retweeted her, and this guy Amit Shandilia just tweeted. Magsaysay award-winning journalism is retweeting it, but not apologizing for it when it turns out to be wrong. Mm. Uh, See, this is the thing that happens. These people get away with everything because they're allowed to get away with everything. We don't have a systematic documenting and detailing of all these people
Correct.
or a newspaper of record which stays away from getting politicized. And when it does, it will still be called toxic right wing, whatever, to delegitimize it. So, you see, this is what I keep saying about the Bukake cycle. This whole thing, what's it called? Did you see the Ramnath Goenka Award?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been given to a schmuck from the News Minute for covering the Bangalore hijab protests, and you know
Mm.
what kind of mischief that bugger played with that this thing. I have screenshots from these groups that I spy on, these journal groups that I spy on, where where a certain very famous anchor with an illegally constructed house is saying, oh, how could Adani Group sponsor it? It is sold out. One more very famous liberal anchor is also saying the same thing. But now that one of theirs has won, they are like very happy. Oh, very good, you have taken the award. Great. So much integrity in the award. But it's good because Anant Goenka has irretrievably now associated the name of Ramnath Goenka with blowjobs. So good for him. I mean, what a grandson ho to aise.
This is the problem, See, here is our so-called opposition in the country. I'm not talking about party. In the country, to the government, people who don't like the government. You're siding with people
Mhm.
like this. You're siding with people that are openly funded by global leftists who will care no hoots of taking you off the street in 5 seconds.
But see, this is it. The right craves validation. The right simply isn't willing to push back. What are you going to do? I'm
I
still
think,
telling you, Trump will win the election, but he'll be made to lose the election.
yeah, you said that last time. I mean, I don't think he'll win in the first place because
I,
even if he
Look,
does, he's going to be a
there
lame
is
duck.
there is no more compromised election on earth than the American elections. Okay, it is the
Agreed.
biggest joke, shambolic joke around, with
Agreed.
no uniform rules, no nothing, consistent voter intimidation, etc. North Korea has more election integrity than bloody. There, you at least know the people are actually voting for Kim Jong Un.
Yeah.
You don't even know who the hell they're voting for. They themselves don't know who the hell they're voting for. कोई भी पोस्टल बैलेट से वोट करो. वेयर इज द वोटर आइडेंटिफिकेशन? कुछ नहीं.
वही उसी के चक्कर में अभी ईवीएम के ऊपर these guys are writing articles.
हाँ,
यार,
ऑफ कोर्स.
so this, tell me, is this prejudice, hatred? What is it?
This is, see, I
Or
mean,
are
I've
we just
said
dirty ground
racism.
people? I mean,
It's just politics. It's just politics masquerading around as journalism. Did you see the Bukake cycle that happened at Harvard? Smita Prakash tweeted it. I told her not to tweet it and give it unnecessary publicity. And then Kushal Mehra also tweeted it.
yeah.
Uh, and I've told him before, don't give it unnecessary publicity. अमेरिका में बैठ के इंडियन इलेक्शन इंटेग्रिटी के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं बहनचोद.
साहब पाकिस्तान में बैठ के ऑड्री टुस्के, योर गर्लफ्रेंड, with Najam Sethi and Siddharth Vardarajan in Pakistan.
But this is considered credible. What do you
And
do?
what you and I are doing is idiocy, right?
And see, this is why I get so irritated when people tweet out WAPO links and Jerry Shee tweets and things like that. I keep telling people, stop tweeting them or retweeting them. Take screenshots. Don't tag them. Do not give them engagement. Don't reply to their tweets. Right? If you want to reply to their tweets, see everyone who's quote tweeted it or reply to it. Reply to them while removing Jerry Shee from the mentions. So, for
Hmm.
example, if Adi Achint has replied to Jerry Shee saying you're a schmuck, when I reply to you, two names will come up, Jerry Shee and Adi Achint. I can't remove Adi Achint because I'm replying to you,
Remove
but I
Jerry.
can remove Jerry Shee. And what happens then is you get to know that I've replied to you,
Not that
but
guy.
Jerry Shee doesn't make any engagement money off of it.
That's very,
So
very, very good. I think you're one of the first people who are coming out and saying this. You said this on with JD in the podcast as well. And
I really want everyone to sit and think now, especially now because Twitter is monetized. You have to understand every QT, every tag, every reply is one paisa coming out of your pocket going to this person. Do you want to give that person one? Before you press that reply button, before you press that QT button, before you think of tagging, please think.
absolutely, absolutely, that's true. I don't know if you noticed. I did a Twitter thing, right? So I tweeted, I won't vote for BJP,
Hmm.
right? And I wrote at the bottom, testing.
No.
And I got
And
110,000 engagements. Mine is a chut-put account, chota sa. ठीक है. And I wrote, I will vote for BJP, and I got 10,000 engagements. Okay.
oh,
You also
mm,
know what is wrong with India trend. Anything you
yeah,
would type would get 2 million, 3 million views.
yeah.
Now, what was that? And we thought Elon Musk was supposedly, I never believed it, but supposedly better than the previous chap.
He is better. He is much better. I don't think we can deny that. I think anything is better than that weed smoking ganjedi who was there before.
Mm.
But look, every man has his limitations.
So what is this? I mean, this what the government doing it, or is there he's hired some leftists to do this, or George
To
Soros
do
gave him some money? What is it?
engagement money. No, engagement is just driven by stupid people who feel the need to respond. They don't realize they're being clickbaited. But it is a very good scheme, I think. The thing is, you also need to know how to game it. What
Yeah,
pisses me off is Elon Musk doesn't trust Indians to add community notes, as if why should community notes be geographic?
and the worst part is when you do something like this. So I won't vote for BJP. I've got an Indian flag there. So people are telling me, listen, you put an LGBT flag, a Palestinian flag,
Mm,
and hashtag Free Palestine or something like that right there, and you see it'll
mm.
go to millions. I says now this is a bias in the algorithm itself.
As a rule, I have found people with Ukrainian flags used to be the dumbest, and most of the people with the Ukrainian flag switched over to the Palestinian flag. And there's just something about these flags. Ukrainian flag, Palestinian flag equals dumb. They're just genuinely dumb fucks, and there's nothing you can
I'll
do
add
about it.
Pakistani to it.
हाँ, पाकिस्तानी बट पाकिस्तानी कोई फ्लैग लगाता ही नहीं है क्योंकि इतने शर्मिंदा है अपने देश पे वो लोग।
नहीं नहीं, क्या बात कर रहे हो यार, हैं वो थोड़े बहुत F-16 से उड़ा देंगे तुमको टाइप्स, बहुत है।
1-2 होंगे, अच्छा बहुत हैं, मैंने तो देखा ही नहीं है।
बहुत है,
They
बहुत है।
don't
And I mean, I talk about Pakistan, right? So the kind of comments, one day I'll send you screenshots. You'll be
okay,
quite
हाँ,
amazed.
भेजो, भेजो।
The kind of beautiful emails you get, and sometimes messages and this and that. Anyways, now see, we also know another thing is this is something that I took up today in my afternoon show, and I really would like your comments. Every time there is a negative narrative that comes out of the West, which is the State Department, right?
हुँ,
That section, the leftist section. I see the Defense Department coming out and saying, Acha, you wanted something, right? Why don't you take this? Let's work
हुँ।
together on this. Let's do this exercise. Oh, you guys are doing a damn good job. CA nonsense happened. Yesterday, Rajnath Singh, say, this guy has spoken, Lloyd Austin, and he said, your rescue, naval rescue has been amazing. You are the next security provider, this, that, the whole readout.
But Lloyd
What's this?
Austin, see, here's the thing, Lloyd Austin's been missing in action for a while.
Yeah, he's back.
Defense is very pro-India. State is very anti-India. You remember that old paper that came out, I think it's a 2003 or 2004 paper. A state is from Venus and defense is from Mars. Republicans tend to go to defense, Democrats tend to go to state. Defense tends to be
Interesting.
pro-India, state tends to be, well, quite anti-India. So you'll see this very consistently where defense will never criticize India. If it criticizes, it'll be in private over things like interoperability and shit like that. But
They're very
publicly,
mature.
but they're very mature.
I
But
mean, this is very interesting. What do you say about this phenomenon? And it's not one time. I've seen this multiple times. What's this? Counterbalancing, realizing, oh
but
shit, yeah, don't do this.
no, it's not counterbalancing. See, it's dysfunction within their system, and
Hmm.
that dysfunction became particularly nasty by about 2016 when Trump I don't know why. When Trump got elected, the Democrats just went, and this whole wokeism shit only started after Trump, no? uh, um, possibly as a reaction to him. So what ended up happening was that you have a president right now who is completely incapacitated. And the system, the weakness of that system, like the Roman system, Augustus made the entire Roman system dependent on him, the emperor. Everything was controlled by the emperor. Till, by the time of the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, power had kind of gone over to the Praetorian Guards, and they started killing all the emperors as and when they chose. Uh, but here, it's still not with well, it's kind of going that way, because the government is only as strong or weak as the emperor, or in this case, the president. It is a very president centric system, and all the silos are coordinated by the president, well, the president's office. If they don't, or if the president is taken lightly and his vice president is taken even more lightly, these people start acting out on their own. There's nobody to do the messaging uniformity and things like that. This is a very, very serious problem now. It's It'll require a strong president to control it. The problem with Trump, though, is he doesn't believe in big government. So he considers most of those uh, what do you call it? Those uh, offices, like the spokesperson's office and things, to be complete shit. So he doesn't even bother focusing any attention on them. He thinks State Department is shit because he completely overruled state. Remember, those Abraham Accords were not negotiated by the diplomats at State Department. They were negotiated by
Yeah,
his son-in-law, Jared Kushner,
Kushner.
right? So he doesn't even see them as a problem, which is why I'm hoping, if it'll be a miracle if he comes back, he'll do what Vivek Ramasamy wants to do and cut the size of state to 1/10 of what it is.
That's the problem. Today I heard a rumor that Vivek doesn't want to be a part, and they're not kind of.
No, no, he definitely wants to be a part.
No, there was. I'll send you. There's honestly a statement or something like that. I,
See, he'll keep
I
saying it. This is the thing. It's
rating to
you. You have to be begged to join. I don't want it. I don't want it. Please take it. Please take it. Please take it. This is that famous Julius Caesar thing. Remember, ultimately, everybody knew he wanted to be king. So when they offered him the crown, he refused 3 times. Excess modesty. And everybody else thought, oh my God, what a noble man. Let's give him more dictatorial powers.
Hmm.
And that is when those 52 senators decided enough was enough and they stabbed him.
Thank you. I want to ask you a couple of other things. The Western hatred for Russia, right, is I'm not able to understand this. Today, the president of France comes and says we will send troops. What is this hatred all about? Because you're not fighting the real enemy, you're taking money from the real enemy, right? And you're fighting a guy who's saying, "Yaar, kya kar rahe ho? Bhai, chhod do, band karo ye drama." Putin has said that so many times. They don't want to listen to him. No, he wants to take over Europe. And the second they'll take one breath and come out and say, his army is so stupid, they can't fight.
So, this is the thing. Europeans are the most, they love to think they're original thinkers and out of the box thinkers. And they have the most hive minds around. The need for social conformity out there is just insane, especially in Europe, right? Uh, and it's taking a very bad, Macron is taking a very bad beating for that statement. You know that, na? His ratings have plummeted in the last 2 weeks. Let's just check. Macron ratings plummet. Uh,
No, Marie Le Pen is spouted to win the election.
I still don't think, because when it comes to Marine Le Pen, what will happen is, um well, this is from last year, but this year is apparently even worse, and I can't get a.
Okay, let me give you an example. They call his wife a man. So that tells you what the people are thinking.
She's not a man, but she is older, and she did
She was his
groom him as a minor.
teacher.
Let's
Yeah.
be clear about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She was
He
30 when
married.
he was.
He entered a relationship before the age of maturity, but they claimed they did not consummate the relationship before Macron reached the age of maturity. How many of you believe that?
French.
Listen, we've all the boys here have been horny young boys, and you seriously think you would not consummate? Uh, really?
Anyways, I mean, this is the narrative against him. This is the narrative against him today. So that tells you what the people are thinking about him.
You go to my timeline. I was the first person who raised it all those years back during the first election when he became president. Us time nobody wanted to talk about it. I don't think it's nice talking about it, though. It is worth
I, I don't care. It is not my
mentioning.
problem. Yeah.
Thing is, let's also be clear. Macron has done a lot of good for France.
He's been
He's
good to us.
tackled, yeah, he's been a very good friend of India. He's tackled a lot of these trade unions and left wing things. And I think he had to use Russia as a scapegoat for external whatever so he could carry out what he needed to in France. That I can completely understand. Uh, what's Germany's excuse? What's Britain's
Dutch,
excuse?
British.
The mindset is just incredible. You know, for those 12 years I lived in Australia, and a lot of the conversations that I have with friends in the British government and things like that, when I lived in Australia and I started thinking of myself as Australian, it sounded perfectly normal. And having now come back for the last 12, 13 years from there, I'm like, dude, that's just slavery by another name. Their entire foreign policy isn't based on being number one. Their
Hmm?
entire foreign policy is how much scope for publicity and punching above our weight can we get by sucking up to the US and being given diplomatic responsibilities or military responsibilities. And it is very accurately called punching above your own weight, because you're doing the talking for America, but you're getting all the PR and shit like that. There have been instances, if you read, for example, Bill Clinton's memoirs, there's that famous meeting he had with Yeltsin in Helsinki, where he had broken a leg or something and he had to come in a wheelchair. And the Finns had negotiated some massive deal with the Clinton administration. And one of the promises they wanted in return was that a major international summit will be held in Helsinki. Can
Interesting.
you ever, I mean, for us, had Modi ever done something like this, that would be the end of his career. There'd be people out on the streets. You gave it up for the right to host a summit.
G20.
And
You
Finland
can
is
imagine what stuff,
extremely
yeah.
popular. We
Yeah.
gave nothing for G20. That is why Xi Jinping refused to come. We did the exact opposite. उसने बोला अगर मैं G20 आऊंगा तुमको ये करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है?
आगे चल.
It is, the mindset of an Indian, it is inconceivable for an Indian leader to do that.
मार खाएगा बहुत.
But this is a part of Swiss negotiating strategy. It is a part of Finnish negotiating strategies. That some major event must happen out
They
there.
want to be in the photograph. Is that what the game is?
Yeah, that
That's interesting.
validation is even worse than ours. So you see, it is what it is.
I'm going to use
I
Jai
would say
Shankarji's.
worse than us. A different kind of validation. For us, it's more
I,
social validation
yeah.
that we need. And why is it only the English press? यहाँ कोई भी ना फ्रेंच प्रेस नहीं पढ़ता है, इटालियन प्रेस नहीं पढ़ता है, जर्मन प्रेस नहीं पढ़ता
No,
है.
बढ़ता है.
There is
तो
a,
वही है, सेम है, सेम हालत है.
it is so pathetic that there is a German journalist sitting in Bangalore who has only ever written good things about India, to the point where you read her writing and you're like, ये क्या संग में है क्या? ये तो मोदी की माउथपीस है. Because for the last 3-4 years, even before that, ever since she rocked up in India, she's been so totally pro India. They've denied her an OCI even though she's married to an Indian. ये समझ लो. जो तुमको प्रेज करते हैं तुम उनके मुंह पे थूकते हो. जो तुम्हारे मुंह पे थूकते हैं, you bend
उनका
over
भी अभी
backwards so that they look at you in a new light.
नहीं नहीं, अभी थोड़ा ओसीआई बैन होना शुरू हो गया एक दो का तो.
But why would you kick out somebody who has been
Yeah,
nothing but supportive of India?
that one was not okay. That one was not okay. I mean, probably they know more than us, but I am not sure. I won't want to go beyond that. Towards the end, I want to ask you last question before we get into our audience. And guys, please hit the like button and hit it hard, please. 175. We can do it by tomorrow if you guys hit the like button, right? So please do that. When we see this, especially the European context and the let me take that back. The Anglo-Saxon context, there is a sense of superiority. I told you this is what it is. Now you saw this very interesting case of the New Zealand deputy prime minister saying, "Where is the evidence?" वो थोड़ा मूड में था. आई थिंक एक लगा लोगों के बैठा था, उसने दे दिया डायलॉग, "Where is the evidence?" वापस गया, छितर पड़े. No, no, no. We are not questioning anything. Why is it that they are right? The Anglo-Saxons. And we can term it as, yeah, we've got everything, we've got the technology, we've got this thing, we've got that thing, and all that stuff. But somewhere down the line, their own people are today saying, guys, what are you doing? This is embarrassing. Yaar. Don't stop it. But then they
So
stick with
let's
the
be clear
narrative.
about something. If you see their intel, it is a true marvel to behold.
Really?
I've probably been exposed to it slightly more than a lot of Indians have, uh, and then quickly removed from it when they realized I was an Indian citizen. Um, and truly, it is a marvel to behold. The kind of micro detail they get into is insane. But that was in an age when the West, this was 12, 13 years back, when the West was still in the wake of what happened with the Iraqi weapons of mass destruction and things like that. They were willing to introspect at some level and look at what had gone wrong. And they always recognized that their intel collection was fabulous, but their intel analysis and synthesis, to be fair, nobody gets it 100% right. Okay? You saw my own boo-boo, Adi. I mean, I said Putin will not go in. He did. But
I mean, I
remember,
said he
at
will.
the beginning of the year, when Biden got elected, I said, understand this, under Biden administration, there is going to be war. Putin is going to go into Ukraine. Okay. It was just
A
that
lot of
none of the
us,
criteria
lot of us
at
got that
that.
wrong. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got the overall thing right the moment Biden took office in 2020. Right. Uh, 2021. I got that part right, that war was going to happen. It was going to happen when Biden was in office because he was exacerbating the whole problem. What I got wrong was the timing. कि इस बार नहीं होने वाला है. Russians will not. See, the thing was, when you talk about Maskerovka, there are so many things to Maskerovka.
Yeah.
Uh, Russians will not bring out tanks showing you they're going to invade if they want to invade you. That's
But
Maskerovka 101.
they showed that they were coming in.
Yes, but they did not give an ultimatum, you see. So they went on denying it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they
They did.
lined up
They did. They did.
troops.
They did. They did.
They
You're right.
denied it and they lined up troops. And the denials were emphatic. See, the Maskerovka laid in the voice and not in the action.
No, no, no. You're right. You're right. I'm just pulling it like you're right.
But see, it's very difficult to figure out what is Maskerovka and what is not.
Yeah,
Half the point of Maskerovka is that, right?
yeah,
Which is
yeah.
why the Americans and Brits, who had the worst, usually the worst interpretation of Russia, uh, actually got it right that time. Whereas the French and the Israelis, who tend to take a much more balanced stance on Russia, got it wrong. I didn't lose my job, but the French and Israeli intel chiefs lost their jobs over
No,
failing to
see, but
predict.
one thing is there that he did that 6 times before he actually went in. He did that in July,
Yeah,
September, uh, November,
he did.
December. Then
He,
it's when Biden and him
again,
met, and
see, it had to be. You also assume at some level there has to be a rule of war. You can't go in unless there is. You can use the Iraq uh, rationale for attacking Iran, which was an accretion of events,
correct,
because attacks had been happening from Iran on Iraq for the last 7, 8, 9 years continuously. The Shah used to play up the Shia rebels in the south. And incidentally, the ICJ at that time, no, it was, yeah, I think it was the ICJ, upheld the Iraqi argument for waging war on uh, Iran. Um, Even that, they didn't even use an accretion of events logic. It was complete. If you look at it in international legal terms, Putin has never
mm,
made a case that satisfies modern legality. He
true,
could have made a responsibility to protect the Russian minorities being killed argument. He did not. He could have made a enforce ceasefire, enforce the Minsk agreements argument, which he did not. He could have made an accretion of events argument, which he did not. And so he, he literally has walked into, I suspect, a trap of illegality, that he has
that,
justified it on an ethno nationalist basis,
mm,
which is exactly what Pakistan did to us.
mm, mm.
So, at one level, you're always amazed by Russian ingenuity and Maskirovka. On the other, sometimes, the Russians do very, very stupid things. Nothing good came for Iraq from Iraq. Ultimately won that war, sure, but nothing good came for Iraq
Yeah,
from that.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, you can put the same example to Afghanistan, the Soviets in Afghanistan.
yeah,
They were lured in
yeah,
and they got sucked into the trap.
they got lured in. So why does Russia
Mm.
keep getting lured in? Ukraine is
Oh,
this
true.
century's Afghanistan.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
going exactly like Afghanistan because the Russian attrition is insane. Yeah,
Recently,
but it's a
yes.
very interesting thing. I don't know if Putin has the courage to do it, because remember, in the Soviet time, the Politburo had much greater checks and balances than Putin has now. The Politburo was very, very powerful. The people in the Politburo were extremely powerful. And if you read that book, Afghansi, I think that's the best book on Afghanistan ever written.
Afghan
Braithwaite,
sea.
Afghansi, Roderick Braithwaite. Uh, I have never read a better book. Afghansi. Afghansi are veterans of the war. The Russian name for them, and it's by Sir Roderick Braithwaite. I highly recommend everybody read this book. And what is fantastic is he actually proves that the Russian decision to withdraw was taken a full year before the first Stinger missile even reached the Afghan rebels. Everybody tells you that it was the Stinger that defeated the USSR and it was the Stinger that
No.
forced. He actually proves it. He's got the documentary evidence showing you the Russians decided to pull out a year before the Stingers, and even when their casualties were low. Their casualties exacerbated because of the Stinger, sure, but they'd already decided to withdraw.
Yeah, yeah. There are even now Russians have spoken about it in their documentaries as well.
So there's a lot to pata nahi yaar. I mean, it's everybody likes to see that Father Putin plays this 10-dimensional chess. I'm not seeing that 10-dimensional chess.
Sometimes I think he is, but when he gets hit the way he is, in Belgorod and stuff like that, 2,500 chaps just walk in and they screw you up and go off. Then I'm like, what? I mean, this is a town 70 kilometers from the border. You're not able to protect it. What is wrong with you? It's
Not
the
to
same with
mention
the Israelis. It's the same with the
everybody's
Israelis.
everybody's forgotten the Wagner rebellion. They almost reached Moscow. They were 60 kilometers outside Moscow.
चलेगा वो okay fine, there's their internal fight, that this, how is it that your enemy is coming inside and doing what is doing to you?
And how
You've
are you
lost.
still stuck in French warfare, boss?
Yeah. Uh, that
It's
though,
just.
you look at the Israelis, I really wonder what are they doing. It's been
Hmm.
4 5 months.
But the Israelis were very clear it was going to take about 12 months to a year at least. Um, and if you notice, all those initial videos we saw of Hamas coming up and planting things on those tanks and things like that,
Finished.
they've all stopped. There's nothing coming out anymore, which means they're not losing tanks. You look at their attrition rates because the Israelis, unlike Hamas,
250.
which does not announce, the attrition rates of Israeli troops has come down drastically since the initial stages of that war.
250. But they made certain mistakes. They forgot. This whole thing of filling up water in the pipes in those tunnels was stupid. I mean, I
Kyun?
said that. Arey साहब,
When
you're
I said
filling up
salt
water in a
water,
sand. अरे सर जी सुनो मेरी बात, वो टनल है
Ji, you
कंक्रीट
called
सिर्फ।
me Uncle Ji. You called me
नहीं नहीं,
Uncle Ji. You were going to say
अच्छा जी,
Uncle Ji.
मैं आई एम 10 years older than you, ठीक है? तो
Hmm.
वो टनल इज लाइक अ उल्टा यू, द बेस
Hmm.
इज स्टिल सैंड, you're 50 yards away from the sea यार.
Hmm. Yeah. Somebody said
I
salt water. I thought salt water was incredibly dangerous. Fresh water is still fine, पर कितना fresh water डालोगे उनमें?
नहीं सर,
अरे,
आप मुझे बताओ ये कहाँ से पंप लेके आओगे इतने सारे? आप लड़ाई लड़ रहे हो कि पाइपें पाइपें संभालोगे उधर पे?
but think of the people. Look at it in opportunity cost terms.
हम्म.
Where are you going to lose more people? Sending troops down to flush out people?
No, you gotta find it and just bloody bomb the shit out of it. That's it. Don't go down. Come on.
Or, huh? But the problem with bombing is you still don't know what's coming out and what's not.
Yeah, that's there.
Flooding. Flooding does something completely different. Flooding also gives you detectability. Because if there is something that opens or whatever, you'll see a drop in water level and you will see certain things happen. So I agree that pumping salt water is very stupid, not to mention very dangerous. Uh,
That's
it's
what they were doing.
I'm not too convinced that it was totally wrong given the alternatives.
सर जी,
The
वो नीचे
problem,
से जब बह जाएगा उसका क्या करोगे? जो सीप करेगा पानी ग्राउंड के अंदर, इट विल नेवर फिल अप ना.
but if you can keep somebody in a locked room for 6 7 hours till the
Yeah,
oxygen goes out, that's
point
not
taken.
bad.
Point taken. I mean, that's something, if they would have learned from the Second World War, that's what the Americans used to do with the Japanese. They would find their exhausts, right? Their air intakes, and drop grenades inside it. Now the Japanese
And
found a way to pull that grenade. That grenade used to come back and hit the American legs. They used to have a fake exhaust. So you put the grenade inside, the damn thing would come out and blow up in this guy's leg only.
so, it's
So
a
there
very
was.
old technique which apparently the Comanche used to use. It was literally called smoking out. They used to lock people in their houses when they were sleeping in the big round houses and set chilies on fire. Chilies are American. There were no chilies before Columbus discovered America. They set chilies on fire and sent chili smoke. They used to kill people with chili smoke. And if anybody managed to come out or break out, they would get clobbered on the head. They would get scalped. So,
That's a good idea.
yeah.
चलो, let's take some questions. Guys, जरा like करो वीडियो को, सब्सक्राइब करो चैनल को यार. 1000 तो लाइक्स कर ही सकते हो भाई. इतना तो खींच दो. 787. I am a little pushy right now because I'm approaching 175. It's like a, March end का target था, तो half March में आ रहा है, so I'm very excited. It's very good. So please like, subscribe, and of course spread the word and share these videos. Very interesting conversation today was. Please also, if you can, contribute towards the channel. You can do it with the QR code or the PayPal, which is there in the description, or you can use super stickers, super chats, or becoming a member, which is what Nimish and Josna ji has done. Thank you so much both of you for becoming a member. Dr. MPC says, सबसे पहले, thank you. Abhijit da, when are you debuting your cooking and food review show? Uncle Roger meet Uncle Iyer. Oh, I love Uncle Roger.
I love Uncle Roger.
You've
वो
seen that
जैसे
thing, no? The
लोग
guy goes and says, is your pork halal?
it's so his sense of humor is just insane.
You got
And he
banned out
gets
of China.
everything right. He actually knows more about Indian food than a lot of Indians I know,
Yeah.
than Indian celebrity chefs I know, which is, of course, unique. Mm, so I don't know, Pa. When my new house gets ready, then when I've got proper shooting area, that's when I'll do it. And it's not going to be critiquing other people's food.
Studio.
Food
You're
mein
not
hum
becoming
mein-
another Shivaru, right?
No, I am absolutely not becoming another Shivarur. शिवरूर को मैं बोल रहा हूँ, मैं तब से बोल रहा हूँ भाई तेरे को ना बहुत मार पड़नी है,
मार पड़ेगी.
बहुत. I'm telling you, somebody is going to take some guy. Mark my words. In the next, if there is ever a physical assault on Shivarur, it will be people holding him down. It will be some aunties from a local society that will hold him down, forcibly shove Kundru down his throat.
Yeah, Kundru or Shrikhand.
And they'll take hostage videos and send it to his parents and wife saying, ask your son to apologize or else we'll keep shoving kundru ki biryani and kundru ki fry and kundru ki sabzi down this bugger's throat. Mark my words,
Uh,
it's going to happen.
I mean, he's disliking the very touchy things like Shrikhand. Bro, don't go to Bombay. मत जाना वहां पर. देखो मारेंगे लोग. Ritwij ji, thank you so much. Big scam is debt system. That's not wealth.
Yeah, of course it is.
That's yeah.
I think we've spoken about this, no? When they
Yeah.
shifted from gold as the standard to debt as the how, how can how can credit rating be based on debt, yeah?
Must
And
है ना?
that's what it is.
Hmm?
How can your net worth be based on your debt? It is the exact opposite of net worth.
That's why China is still investable. Come to
Yeah.
China. Shesheva.
It's chutiye. But it is what it is.
Dipenji, thank you so much. 125,000 Indians obtained Canadian PR in 2023.
Amazing. Good for them. I
You
hope they
know,
were most Khalistanis.
you know what? I was just about to say that. You know what they do with this farmers' protest, right? So
Hmm.
you see these guys speaking a little more vocally, somebody or the other files a case against them.
Hmm.
Always.
Hmm.
They do this purposefully so that they can
Of
get
course.
that
अरे ये बहुत
thing.
बड़ा स्कैम चल रहा है. You know that. It is the sitting that, what is his name? That Khalistani sitting in parliament. कौन है यार लंबा दाढ़ी वाला?
Jappreet.
I forget the name. Quite a famous guy.
Jappreet
He is
Singh,
the
na?
one.
वो Canadian.
No, not their parliament, our parliament. He gives certificates of persecution. Pata hai, you have to pay him money and he gives you certificates of
Ah.
persecution so that you can go
Simranjeet Singh
prison.
Man.
हाँ, सिमरनजीत सिंह मान. उसका ये धंधा चल रहा है, पता है तुम लोगों को? And there are agencies now in Punjab, if you want to immigrate, they will arrange complete persecution package
Hmm,
for you.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
And the Punjab police is also involved in this, by the way. Do I
So
thank
this
them
was
for it?
actually a drama. This was actually a drama to get more asylum going, nothing else.
Of course. और क्या?
Amazing.
Which is why, tell me, Adi, when does the farmers protest die? This time farmers protest तुमने सुना है after that uh, what Cambridge trip of Rahul Gandhi? Nobody is talking about the farmers protest anymore. Nobody even knows where the farmers are protesting anymore.
फार्मर नहीं है वो फार्मर है.
Farmer. Uh, you know why? Because that police officer who's an Olympian came out and said तेरा passport visa cancel करवा देंगे.
हाँ.
अगर passport visa पे तुमने threaten कर दिया, that was the end of it. You did not think why. This is, something. When Christine Fair was still sane before she got all deranged and medically bipolar and all that shit, she used to keep telling me that the people, you could literally see a dip, not just a dip, a very significant dip in terror attacks in wherever the Nagas used to be posted. And it's because the Nagas used to eat street dogs. And unlike say pork, which evolves disgust in a Muslim, the eating of a dog evokes fear. They're like, ये क्या लोग हैं? अगर ये कुत्ते खा रहे हैं, imagine what they'll do to us. How our bodies will be desecrated. They were shit scared of them. And she had collected the
Interesting.
data. She's a very good researcher. She had
Yeah,
collected the
she was.
data and she was showing it to me, and I was like, damn, it's an actual correlation that every time the Nagas used to be posted in those areas, the attacks would dip massively.
Yeah, you're right. She's become pretty deranged now.
Mm.
So we've all become Hindu nationalist, right wing, fascist. What else? She used these 3 4 words for me before she blocked me. So
Abbe yaar, chodo. She used to be a friend, and first she was like
no,
completely this
she's
thing.
she's done a show with me. She
She was a
recorded a show
complete
with
shill
me.
for Pakistan. She was complete shill for Pakistan.
Yeah, yeah. She
And
recorded a show with me, and we had an argument in that. She just
about
like, she said, "You guys don't know what you're doing. You guys this, you guys that, you guys this, you guys that." The Pakistanis are very smart. I said, "Really? What about 65, 71, 99? They're smart."
no, but
And she got pissed off at that.
the thing is, she was right. The Pakistanis were very smart. In see the thing is, and this is something she wasn't able to express till I articulated it for her. The Pakistanis are tactically brilliant, strategically imbecilic.
Yeah, and their first half, they want to go in, and then what the other guy
They
will do
don't
is not
think
part of
about
the
the
plan.
consequences after that. They
Thank
think
you.
everything will go to plan. Okay?
That's what I told
So
her, and she screamed at
Mumbai,
me.
The Mumbai attack was tactically brilliant,
Yeah,
right? Completely paralyzing a city. Strategically, what did it get? Pakistan, nothing.
nothing.
Okay. So they do, I mean, even Kargil was tactically brilliant, but in aid of what? Unless it was a plan by Musharraf to ultimately unseat Nawaz, which, is in character. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto essentially precipitated the 65 war so that he could get rid. He actually admits this to that. Who's that guy who wrote My Beautiful Laundrette? That wanker of a Pakistani.
I
Uh,
haven't. I haven't seen this. But yeah, he's admitted it sometime in the mid 70s. I know that.
My Beautiful Laundrette, based on a story by who? Qureshi, no? Somewhat Qureshi was he?
I'm
Hanif
not sure.
Qureshi.
Okay.
Hanif Qureshi. So Hanif Qureshi, he admitted to Hanif Qureshi that he started the war so that he knew Pakistan would lose because he wanted to get rid of Ayub Khan. So I wouldn't put it past Musharraf to have started the war so that it would be lost so that he could get rid of uh, uh, Nawaz Sharif.
Fantastic. Ritwij, thank you so much once again. He says investor confidence is BS, Abhijit, price fixing. Yeah, which is,
Total. Total.
you're right. Okay. Anony Mouse. That's an interesting name. Thank you so much. Why does it seem like bad news about India appears to get highlighted in yet most Western vices fly under the radar? Or is it just our perception? A lot of people think that यार probably we are just a little over biased about ourselves कि यार हमको ही दिखता है जब कुछ गलत बोलते हैं, we don't come to know when they criticize themselves.
See, the thing also is when you have the bulk of the media so overwhelmingly left wing, and they've got a pack mentality. You see, they decide who to go against. So you have to be part of the conversation, as it's called out there.
Part
You
of the
have
club.
to back. Yeah. Unless you recite these shibboleths, you are not even allowed into the sanctum sanctorum.
Mhm.
The sanctum
Understood.
sanctorum being conferred intellectual, public intellectual. And so, as routine, you have to say gender is a spectrum. Modi is a fascist. Trans women are women. Trans men are men. When we know all those statements are false.
I mean, in America, all I tell them, make another goddamn bathroom, man. The fight is over the washroom. Can you imagine? Just make another one.
But see, this is a first world problem. This is why our backwardness kind of insulates us, because can you
Yeah,
imagine?
that's true.
We were a first world country. Now India would be the most woke country on earth.
No, no,
And
no.
they're
Right.
probably going to arrest J.K. Rowling because she lives in Edinburgh and the SNP has just passed laws. Before, as per the British High Court, you could still call a man based on philosophical differences. Now, even a philosophical difference does not count, and calling a man who identifies a woman as a man, is a hate crime.
I think I'm going to tear up. I'm going to ensure my passport doesn't leave my safe locker. I'm not going out anywhere. This is ridiculous.
Thailand jump,
Primo,
Thailand.
no, no, thank you. I'm allergic to seafood, sir.
Yeah.
Uh,
But there's lots of, I mean, you don't have to have seafood out there. The chicken and the pork is fantastic.
chalo. Primo 555, thank you so much. Audrey is AIM's girlfriend. This is truly the end.
Yes, it is, alas.
Ronnie Mouse, once again, the Ukrainian flag is a mark of lemmings.
Yes,
Thank
it
you so
is.
much. Yeah,
Thank you.
there's no question about that. Soham, thanks much. He says, AIM, sir, Littlewood debate. You had mentioned about the concentration camps in India, much to her shock. Can you elaborate more on it?
There was a long article in the week,
Yeah,
Outlook or the week,
week.
about it. When the Chinese invaded, uh, all Indian Chinese who had lived here for 100 years by that time were declared enemy nationals. Their
Yeah,
properties were seized. What was done to them was exactly what was done to Jews in Nazi Germany. Property seizures. Some were compensated at nominal rates, 50 rupees for a house, etc., etc. They were taken to the middle of the Rajasthan desert and put in a camp. They were not even given blankets for the night and shit like that. They were not, there wasn't an infirmary or a doctor out there.
I've read this
The
article. I don't know how
mortality,
much of it is true, but I've read this.
yeah, the mortality rates were insane. It was an actual real life concentration camp.
Yeah.
I want you to go to Ramachandra Guha. If you ever meet him, if you ever have an opportunity to ask him a question on a public forum, and ask him why in your book on Nehru did you not mention the concentration camps that Nehru set up? Or you thought it was so irrelevant as to just dismiss it in a line as zeitgeist? That's exactly what he calls it, by the way, zeitgeist.
Really?
Calls ethnic concentration camps zeitgeist.
Swine. Dr. MPC, thank you so much. In hindsight, what tactics or decisions could have been made by the Russian attack to succeed in a short time?
Nothing. This should have been something finished off in 2014.
Yep. When they could.
Because by this time, we now know, which we did not, the Russians clearly knew, but there was no public intel on it, that uh, 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 crack Ukrainian divisions had been trained up, that the Minsk agreement was basically a time buying tactic by France and Germany.
That's what.
So there's literally nothing you could have done.
That's
And
insane.
this
Can
is
you imagine?
where it makes sense for Putin. Though then I would have thought, why didn't you go in 2015? Because the moment you saw the training happening, you should have gone in, no? Why did you wait for 8 years? Because those 8 years have cost hundreds of thousands of lives right now. Not to mention
Mhm.
14 to 15,000 Russians killed in Donetsk in those 8 years in between.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forget that, the you see the factor that they were training. He could have done that at whatever time. Now you can say that they were not strong enough at that time, they didn't, and all that stuff. In 2014, when Putin went in, The Ukrainian army literally put down their arms.
It collapsed. It ran away.
I mean, the takeover of Sevastopol was a joke.
Again, Adi, see, there were so many things. This is why, this willful lack of following international law. America has a very good fig leaf of law. They're very clear about legal principles. They invented lawfare, so they know how to use law for war. Russia does not. Even 2014 could have been done very differently. You say that there has been a coup, we are restoring democracy in Kiev, and we're going in.
Yeah, they didn't communicate properly. Absolutely
And that
correct.
is the peak of responsibility to protect. So they could have claimed Russians burnt alive in Odessa, 52 people killed, the government is supporting it, we're going in, we're thwarting a coup, we're restoring democracy, we are protecting
Restoring
Russian
order.
citizens.
Hmm.
They could have gone in there, installed a puppet president who then has a referendum, suppress the referendum, or terrorize, have Russian troops everywhere. Nobody's going to dare come out and vote except Russians, right? This is exactly what NATO did in Kosovo.
Kosovo.
They presided over the ethnic cleansing of Kosovo, of all the Kosovar Serbs.
Yep.
You look at the number of Serbs that lived in Kosovo before and after the NATO occupation. They presided over an actual genocide out there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and people don't know this because nobody gives a shit about Kosovo, you see. Uh, and this is where the blinkered vision that Indians have. हमको बस फ्रांस के बारे में पढ़ना है, फ्रेंच न्यूक्लियर के बारे में पढ़ना है, ओए वो जर्मन के ना स्टील टैंक्स होते हैं, बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, उनके बारे में पढ़ना है, ओए ये कोसोवो क्या होता है, read.
It's the
The
next war
entire
coming up in the next couple of days, by the way.
maybe देखते हैं क्या होता है.
The Serbian
So,
Prime Minister said it yesterday. We are ready. What's
देखते
wrong
हैं.
with these
They'll
guys?
crush Serbia. They'll crush Serbia. See, people don't realize this. And people don't realize how much pressure was put on Hungary to conform with the EU sanctions.
Yeah.
We had an interaction with this American head of the Hungarian Danube, the Danube Institute of whatever. It was insane the kind of details he was giving us about the blatant threats the Americans were issuing. They deliberately sent Victoria Nuland to Budapest to meet the opposition, to threaten Viktor Orban.
Wow.
And because she has a Schengen visa, she cannot be denied entry into Hungary, you see.
I'm glad she's gone.
Because, see, visas are a national issue.
Yeah.
They are banned. So Italy can take a visa decision for Germany. France can take a visa decision for Hungary. So once she has a visa, well, technically Americans don't need a visa to go there. But Hungary is not allowed to cancel the visa free, technically.
And you can't cancel the visa of Victoria Nuland.
You risk because you're so and this will explain why Orban is inviting so much Chinese investment in.
Yeah. You're pushing people on the other side. I just...
Literally. Do you know, Adi, how many times I remember in the last when was I at ORF? From 2012 to 2016 or 17. We had an institutionalized track 2 with the Americans where all of us would sit down and tell them, you are pushing Russia into Chinese arms. And they keep saying, no, you don't understand. You see, we understand the Russians. That no matter what we do to them, the Russians are not going to go into Chinese arms.
Bull.
And the head of the Russia department was this amazing guy, still is this amazing guy called Nandanoni Krishnan. He just got so fed up, he would just roll his eyes. There was nothing else you could do. We could see it. They could not.
We spoke about this right now, the Russian obsession. We just spoke about this in the I think the second or the third question.
Russia is the designated enemy of the day. They've got this hive mentality.
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein, who was never realistically a threat beyond his own borders, World's biggest enemy. He's the next. People went and asked him, are you the guy Nostradamus predicted? Do you remember CNN actually went and asked him, do you ever wear a blue cap? Because the next Antichrist was meant to be, according to Nostradamus, a guy a dictator from the East who wears a blue cap.
Yeah.
They asked him that. You remember that question? They actually went and asked him that.
Yeah.
Then, when Libya happened, I remember this German think tank. Uh, uh, was it the Zeitstiftung? I forget which one. Which actually barred anybody from arguing that uh, uh, the NATO should not intervene in Libya, because it was the great moral crisis of our times. That jackass Henri Bernard Levy, or whatever his name is, he labeled it, this will be the defining issue of the 21st century. Now, Ukraine is the big defining issue of the 21st century. Then Serbia becomes the big defining issue of the 21st century. Then, they think that their defining issues should be everybody else's defining issues. They've just decided that Russia is the defining issue of the 20th century. Take five.
True. Abhinag, thank you so much. He says, "Hey, AIM, do you think the West as whole has a problem with us, or just the Anglo-Saxon West has a problem?" I think we've discussed that, but the second part is interesting. Your views on Vietnam balancing both words.
They're not balancing both worlds. Vietnam is, unlike us, Vietnam is very clear that China is a threat. Not a single military person that I've been to believes that China is not a threat. At the same time, they're very clear that they will collaborate with China industrially, and they will get as much as they can, drag away as much manufacturing as they can from China. But they are very clear when you ask them who is enemy number one, enemy number two, enemy number three: China, China, China. I would again point you to, I think, Raisina some 4 years back, where a Vietnamese general came and he was mocking us, saying, how you are such a big country, how do you not stand up to China? We're a tiny country. We may be a tiny country, but we have a big heart. And all you require to stand up to China is a big heart. He got a
Hmm.
standing ovation.
Hmm.
He was the
I
one
remember
guy
that.
who came to India and spat on India and got a standing ovation by Indians for saying it.
Yeah. Saurabh Chandra, I think this one is for me. Thank you so much. He says Sonam Wangchuk abused Ram Sita today. Ladakh true activism is out. Why did Def Talks and Colonel AJ Raina advocated in their support? Big mistake in my eyes. Well, we advocated the support of the cause of Ladakh, not Sonam Wangchuk. If you actually watch my video, I very clearly raised doubts on his intentions. Secondly, when you leave a guy out in the cold and hungry, he's gonna get captured by the left. Simple as that. Anything that you'd
Who's
like to say
Sonam
about this?
Wangchuk?
The Ladakhi activist from Three Idiots. So he's on a fast, 21-day fast. I think he's on 12th, 14th day. Today he said that we've been abandoned, as if Ram would have come back with Sita, and Sita has been sold in the market. This is what he said today on a TV channel. So people are damn pissed, and so am I. As a matter of fact, I said that to him.
No,
Now
but
he knows me
how,
because, as a matter,
how has he abandoned Ladakh?
his thing is that we were promised a sixth schedule, right, and we're not being given. Now, my point to him was fair enough, whatever it was. And I did a video. I said, why do you associate yourself with all the Teda characters?
Hmm.
You're losing relevance. If you are as straight as you claim you are, don't associate yourself with these kind of characters. Don't do this kind of stuff. You raise issues
Hmm.
on EVM, who's going to listen to you? I mean, if you're fighting for a cause, you need to be a little realistic. So I support the cause for Ladakh, but I don't support people like this. Having said that, he has a lot of say within Ladakh. He has the eyes of the crowd. So
Oh, well, such is life.
it is. Soham Saab, once again, thank you. It says, sir, by making everything Hindu versus Muslim, is India ignoring the Christian conversions? And when Anglos talked about the plight of Dalits, they're indirectly talking about cryptos, converted Christians.
Look, I have a very different view on Christian converts, right? I believe religion is a marketplace. And You need to develop a societal response to this, boss. I suggest you go watch that end of Hinduism video I did with Kushal, which got our friend Sanjay Dikshit very angry, and he did two parts. He did two re-litigations in the Q&A of that on Jaipur Dialogues. Uh, we're now stuck with a conundrum. If we don't put our religion back in private hands and keep it with government, society will not develop a response to it. On the other hand, if we do privatize our temples, there is a whole bunch of castes waiting to take it over and make it birth exclusionary, which means we're still handing it over to them.
Yeah, there
Uh,
are risks. That's true.
so, what do you do? I don't know the answer to it.
That's true.
I wasn't expecting the level of caste justification on birth based. And notice what has happened. The Kerala High Court supports that caste based exclusion. They have said only a male Shanti Brahman can go. And so when the leftists
Courts
and
have
the
gone.
castists are on one side, I think you've got your answers there.
Courts have gone nuts. I mean, there's just no question about it. There's uh, simple as that. Mr. Gamer, thank you so much. Biden's USP was he was old school, a Cold War politician who was bred to hate Russia. When he came to office, he was a matter of when instead of why. Okay, it was a matter of when instead of why. Man, this short lingo is difficult for me to read. Why I even believe they rushed Afghan withdrawal so that they can focus there. Can I add something here? If
Mm,
this is the case, why was he taking $100,000 a year from the wife of the mayor of Moscow?
he was. I didn't
Yep,
know that.
100,000 a year
Um,
consulting.
I don't. I don't think Biden is bred to hate Russia. What happens is America decides on the villain of the month or the villain of the next 5 years. It's Russia flavor. See, they can't survive unless they find a new enemy. America has never been without a paramount, life threatening enemy that they keep constructing every single time. For the longest time, it was Saddam Hussein until they finally got rid of him. So, till the USSR was there, it was the USSR. The year the USSR collapsed, it became Saddam Hussein. The year Saddam Hussein, the year Al Qaeda turned out to be the main threat, this one was Saddam Hussein. They used that as an excuse to get rid of Saddam Hussein. Then they got rid of the Taliban, but the Taliban got rid of them. So they have to go back to an old tested enemy who will be a long term enemy. They realize they can't do short term enemies anymore. They've run out of short term enemies. Who's the big long term enemy? It's Russia.
Yeah, China is also going to be short term.
China is not going to be this thing because I'll tell you why. China has bought all of them over. So they know China is an enemy, but China can't be the paramount enemy on whom they do sanctions. China is the enemy from whom they take money but will not do sanctions.
It's hypocritical. That's all.
Complete. It's corrupt. It is
Yeah, yeah,
corrupt to the core.
yeah. Do you know till when they were funding the Wuhan lab? The
Almost
Americans?
2 years after Corona, na? Till 23.
2023 July.
Yeah, yeah. And I brought it up with Peter Daszak. He blocked me.
I mean, you gotta. Justin Trudeau was sending SARS virus to China. What in the world were you doing sending SARS Ebola virus to China for? For
But
what?
but notice how much you have to trawl and really find these things and look for them because it will never come up on an average Google search and shit like that.
Oh, I've done a show on this, although I guess YouTube kind of pushed it down because I got just 19,000 views for that. Can you imagine?
Typical.
Just and people who saw that have said, "Dude, this is insane. What's wrong with you? Be careful."
Mm.
but that's what they did. And I have, by the way, I have the original, the copy, excuse me, of the shipping document with the viruses,
Hmm.
the actual shipping receipt. It's all there. You just need to find it. That's all. So we'll just
Yeah.
finish the super chats. AMCG, thank you so much once again. He said also Putin uncle believes in brute force. He follows ek jhapad maro, sari strategy ghus jayegi where the sun don't shine. I wish he was. He's not.
His
He's also
intelligence is vast.
softy. He's a big softy. I thought he was a little more hardcore. He's
See, I
quite a
don't think
softy.
he's a softy, but he's too doctrinaire. He
Okay.
lets his beliefs get in the way of decisions. He allows his swadharma to cloud his rajdharma.
So you got the same problem as us?
Yeah.
Mm. Roy, thank you so much. Says if Modi 3.0 happens, will CIA escalate operations in India? CIA spy को पूछ रहे हैं हम लोग.
यार बचेंगे तब ना. What do you think Modi will do to all these fuckers in his third term?
Third term is going to be ruthless for them.
I
Abhinag,
am praying for it.
look at what he's doing right now. They are fluttering. They don't know which way to look. Yes, yaar, ye kya hai? We used to blame him for this. Now he's actually doing it.
है ना? Yeah. Yeah.
I think Modi Sahab has decided, yeah, if you're gonna blame me for it, let me fix you up now. Let's do it.
Exactly right. Exactly
Abhinag
right.
Sahab, thank you so much. Adi, keep an eye on this Liberando comedian Sanjay Rajura, who recently went to Pakistan, gave interviews to hijabi podcaster and bashed Sanatan. That's become like a money earning game nowadays. The
यार
Liberandos pay you.
अभी सुनो अभी why did you broadcast this bugger's name out here? Abhinag, I'm asking you a question, Abhinag. Why? After all I told you not to give these people publicity, you still come on this podcast and then now I bet you he's
That's
going
a
to
good
get at
point.
least 10,000 views after this now.
That's a good point. That's a very good
Must
point, I
be
must say.
आपको यार.
Hmm. Audrey Trushke Iyer Mitra. Oh my God.
ये मेरी बीवी बन गई है ये.
Okay. Thoughts on Russia calling Taiwan part of China?
It's always been Russia's policy. There's been no change on that.
Everybody's a little shocked. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
When the Americans say one China, they mean that only.
Hmm.
In the context of it, it's one China.
It is exactly right. But Taiwan's official position also is that it is a part of China.
Yeah. And it also owns Arunachal Pradesh and Ladakh.
Yes. In fact,
So, I,
the Taiwanese maps are more maximalist than Chinese maps.
so I've fought with them because of this. And I've got quite, my face was printed in Taiwanese media because of that. So people call me a hawk, and everybody says, "Oh, we need stuff from Taiwan. Why are you spoiling relations and all that stuff?" And then somebody told me, "You've been bought by Chinese propaganda. That's why you're blaming Taiwan." When their labor minister came out and said, "Oh no, we only want Northeast guys because they look like us and eat the same food," I said, "See what I told you."
Exactly.
So I got vindicated within 6 months. Luchi ul Bano, Tuchi ul Begum. Thank you so much. Adibhai, Vietnam has no Chuslam problem.
Islam. The Cham are actually Muslim. Vietnam
Yeah,
was called the Champa Kingdom,
Champa
and
Kingdom.
the built all the Hindu temples in Vietnam. There are lots of Hindu temples in Vietnam, by the way, and they converted en masse to, and the Chams were in constant conflict with what Angkor and things like that as well, and they converted en masse to Islam. Has there been religious violence? Apparently, a few events here and there have been, but there it's more of a Christian Buddhist friction zone. So everything else gets subsumed in the Christian Buddhist. That very famous image of the Buddhist monk setting himself on fire against the
Mm,
Vietnam War, as it was advertised, was not against the Vietnam War. It was actually against Christian persecution by South Vietnam. South Vietnam was a Christian. It was a Christian. People don't realize this, but the Vietnam Civil War was a Christian Buddhist conflict.
yeah, yeah.
The South was run by Christians, and they were viciously persecuting the Buddhists.
I mean, the guy, what was his name? Sigmund Reed. No, Sigmund Reed was in
Korea.
Korea.
Human-
Sorry.
I forget the name.
He was terrible.
Horrible fellow.
Thought provocator. Thank you so much. Says India should either recycle waste or make compost. Fantastic.
Yes, I agree.
We should. Dr. MPC. Thank you. He says, are you going to swim with the sharks in Maldives? नहीं यार.
Yes, tiger sharks.
नहीं.
Not swim with them, dive with them. It's a very
Maldives
difficult
not
dive.
safe country.
Apparently,
Maldives not
uh,
safe.
they've told me I have to reduce at least another 15 kilos before I come, because it's a very, very difficult dive. And you have to come down to almost 40 meters. So your time,
Okay.
it's a nitrox dive. It's not a regular air dive. You have to put nitrox in there so that you can spend time with the sharks. And it's on small boats. So full whale blubber me getting on and off a boat. See, when you dive off big boats, it's you do the great stride leap off the side of the boat. So it's like you put one foot like this, and it's like walking the plank kind of thing, and you fall in the water, and you come up from the back of the boat
Mm-hmm.
where a ladder is in the water, so it's very easy to climb up. Hmm. But when you do in and off small boats, you have to do the reverse. So you're facing each other, your back is towards the water, and you have to do a reverse, which is
Flip back.
easy. But getting back on the boat is, and especially in shark infested waters, no. So I've been told to lose weight before they allow me to dive. It's a very high current zone. So I have to get back to the fitness level that I had as a dive master. No, I don't have to get to dive master because they don't require dive masters to do it. But I have to get back to the fitness level I had during my advanced open water to be able to do it.
Man, I don't want to be 10 feet away from sharks. Thank you.
They're lovely creatures. You should.
No, sir. Thank you very much. I have enough around. That's fine. Satya Bharat is the last one. Thank you so much. He says, don't you think Modi should limit SC powers after electoral bond, unique number, and SC keep entertaining Kapil Sibal and Prashant useless Bhushan? Second part, I agree with. First part, I don't know. What's your opinion? It's a little too hard for me.
No, they look. The Supreme Court um, has absolutely no checks and balances right now. It's very dangerous. It
Hmm?
is. There is no greater threat to democracy in this country than the Supreme Court. It is the one institution that has exactly no checks and balances on it.
True. Absolutely.
That cannot be allowed. You can't be self-selecting, self-correcting, self-removing, self-auditing, self-regulating. It violates every dictum. There is nothing more violative of the basic principles of the Indian Constitution than the Indian Supreme Court's functioning and structure as it exists today.
Absolutely.
It has to be controlled.
Forget the Supreme. Look at the lower courts as well. Yeah, it's chaos. I
Complete.
mean, I've had the misfortune of going to one of these courts, and it's horrible. You had the amazing fortune of actually going through that system once before, and I remember that case.
Mm.
It's, I mean, you just sit there waiting, helpless, and probably if you put the right $500 in the right pocket, your damn thing would be done. And it's not the judges; it's the peons that actually run that place.
But see, it's more than that. It's not so much the corruption. I'm sure corruption exists. It's it is an anthropological fact that a corrupt society cannot have one institution that is uncorrupt. All institutions will be just as corrupt or not corrupt as the rest of society. The issue really is one of checks and balances, where they've created a niche which is so completely devoid of checks and balances. It's a higher management issue. Uh, the peons can still be controlled. It's the judges that we need to worry about.
Excellent. Thank you, sir, for this amazing discussion. I think we've covered a good amount of ground, and I think one of the most important subjects today is that how should we look at the West? We've covered it to a large extent, uh, because that is something I think, for me, that's a big question that I have, that I need to work with them. I know that I need them for my own development, but I don't like them,
Yeah.
right?
So
So
my thing is very simple. I take what I want from them and I discard the rest. Because before I used to buy their bullshit lock, stock, and barrel. And let's be clear about it. They're very, very good at certain things.
yeah,
Um, the problem is you can't do isometric mimicry. You can't cut paste what happens there here. And sometimes the things there are so ugly, like wokeism, you don't want to cut and paste it here. I
hmm,
certainly don't want discourses on gender coming into our military.
thank you for that nightmarish thought. I think we should build up an army of transgender soldiers and send them to Pakistan, because that's the only thing that will scare the Pakistanis away from there. If you want to clear up POK, right? Everybody says POK le lo. I think clear up POK easiest. Send them in. Borrow some from US. Send them in, and they'll give us a
Quite the
happy, clean POK.
quite the reverse. Apparently,
Actually, yeah.
Pakistan has
Just
some of
kidding.
the highest trans fetish rates anywhere.
Yep. That's the highest searched thing on in Pakistan. One of the highest search things.
What a fucked up society. Trans, well, it's I think the Americans are right. India is bigoted and Pakistan is an inclusive society if they're searching for trans porn. And they're also very progressive in that it's the most highest incest rates anywhere. Pakistani incest rates are insane. Did you see the chart that India in Pixels tweeted out?
Mhm. Yep.
South incest in India, incest in the subcontinent, where every country was divided by state, including Pakistan. And there is not one state in Pakistan which isn't orange or red. Incest alert.
अरे वो you
The
look
level
at street interviews, यार.
60% incestuous marriages, boss.
You,
60%.
yeah. You see street interviews there, यार. ये तो मामा जी थे, अब तो सैया जी बन गए. I'm like, you're saying that in the open?
Well,
So
I
I
mean,
watch. I the only content I watch, which is Pakistani, is street interviews, which are
hmm,
dubbed again by Indian channels as shorts. Right? So I don't give a ounce of one rupee to Pakistanis. That's my
hmm,
rule. I will not go to their channels. I will not
huh,
call them here, and I will not watch their channels.
huh.
So खत्म. वो मेरा बड़ा simple rule है. तो I follow that to the letter.
Nice.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been always a pleasure talking to you. Namaskar
Jairam,
and tata.
always fun talking to you. Tata.
Thank you. Bye bye.